Syamantak gem. A noble man of Dwarka, Satyajit was a devotee of Surya, the sun god. Pleased with Satyajit's devotion, Surya gifted him the Syamantak gem. This gem could magically produce 8 measures of gold a day. The Satyajit suddenly became a very wealthy man. Lord Krishna approached Satyajit and asked him to share the gem with the other people of Dwarka and give it to his grandfather, King Agrasena. However, Satyajit said, "No, this gem does not belong to anyone else. Keep it safely, Satyajit. This gem also has the power to wipe out all sorrow and destruction," warned Krishna. A few days later, Satyajit's brother Prasena wore the gem in a necklace and went out on a hunt. When he climbed up a tree and waited for a game, a lion came by. Startled by this, Prasena fell from the tree and was killed instantly. However, the necklace with the Syamantak gem became caught in one of the low branches. Lord Krishna is accused. The lion had killed Prasena was attracted to the glow of the Syamantak gem. As the lion was walking away with the gem, Jambavan, the king of the bears, saw him. He killed the lion and took the gem to his cave as a gift to his son. When Prasena did not return to Dwarka, Satyajit said, "Krishna must have killed my brother Prasena for the gem." To prove his innocence, Lord Krishna gathered a search party and went into the forest. When they found Prasena's body, Krishna noticed the lion's tracks around the body and assumed that a lion must have killed him. When they followed the lion's tracks, they found the body of the dead lion. Krishna noticed the marks of a bear claws and its tracks around the lion's body. When they followed the bear's tracks, Krishna reached Jambavan's cave. Krishna ordered the search party to stay outside and entered the cave alone. Jambavan and Jambavati. Lord Krishna found Jambavan's son playing with the Syamantak gem inside the cave. Seeing Krishna, Jambavan's son let out a wail that alerted Jambavan. Jambavan thought that Krishna was attacking his son and fought with Krishna. This fear fight lasted for 28 days. Finally, Krishna appeared as Lord Ram. Jambavan immediately recognized him and fell at his feet. He was a devotee of Lord Ram and had helped him fight against Ravana. Along with the Syamantak gem, Jambavan offered his daughter Jambavati's hand in marriage, and Lord Krishna accepted. Krishna returned to Dwarka with the Syamantak gem and his new bride. He returned the gem to its rightful owner, Satyajit, who was ashamed of accusing Krishna. He offered his daughter Satyabhama in marriage. But Satyabhama already had 3 suitors, Akrura, Kritavarma and Shatadhanva. They were furious that Satyajit had married Satyabhama to Krishna and not to any of them. Lord Krishna is proved innocent. The existence of the Syamantak gem spread like wildfire. A lot of people desired to own the gem. One of Satyabhama's suitors, Shatadhanva, also wanted to own the gem. He was also angry that Satyajit had married Satyabhama to Krishna. So one night, he broke into Satyajit's chamber to steal the Syamantak gem. When Satyajit protested, Shatadhanva killed him and stole the gem. On realizing what he had done, Shatadhanva left the gem with Akrura and fled from Dwarka. Lord Krishna and Balram learned about this and killed Shatadhanva for his crime. Not finding this gem with Shatadhanva, Krishna understood that he must have left it with Akrura for safekeeping. He called a meeting at his court and asked Akrura to show the gem. Everybody was startled to hear Akrura's name. Lord Krishna knew that his uncle too was part of this wrong deed. Akrura fell at Krishna's feet and asked for forgiveness. Thus, Krishna's name was cleared. Satyabhama. Lord Krishna's third wife, Satyabhama, was known for her strong will and tantrums. She had suffered a lot in her previous life. After her death, she had sought shelter in Lord Vishnu's celestial abode or Vaikuntha. While she was there, she tirelessly served Lord Vishnu. He was so pleased with her services that he promised that she would be one of his wives in his next incarnation. Therefore, Lord Krishna married Satyabhama and ensured to keep her happy always. He did this by doing whatever she wished, regardless of the wish. In fact, Satyabhama's fighting spirit and arguments entertained Krishna immensely. She was gifted with archery and could give match to Krishna. When Satyabhama saw Narkasur attacking Krishna, she was furious. She doubled her strength and attacked him. Before his death, Narkasur requested a boon from Satyabhama that everyone should celebrate his death with colorful lights. Accordingly, this day is celebrated as the first day of Diwali or Narka Chaturdashi. Kalindi. One day, Lord Krishna and Arjun went to hunt in the nearby forest of Indraprastha, accompanied by an army. They reached the banks of the river Yamuna to quench their thirst. Suddenly, they saw a very pretty girl walking by. Curious to know more about her, Krishna sent Arjun to talk to her. Arjun asked her, "Young lady, who are you? Where have you come from?" She replied, "I am Kalindi, the daughter of the sun god. I desire to have Lord Vishnu as my husband and no one else." Arjun asked, "And what are you doing here all alone?" Kalindi said, "I am under severe penance of Lord Krishna. I live in a mansion built by my father in the waters of the Yamuna. I hope that one day Lord Krishna will come for me." Arjun repeated the same to Krishna. Krishna took her to Indraprastha with him. Then he left for Dwarka with her and married Kalindi on an auspicious day. Mitravinda. Mitravinda was the princess of the kingdom of Avanti. Rajadhi Devi, Vasudeva's sister, was her mother. Mitravinda was deeply in love with Lord Krishna, but was scared of her brothers Vinda and Anuvinda. They arranged a swayamvar or a ceremony of choosing a husband for Mitravinda. Her father had called an assembly of kings at his capital to enable her to select her own partner in life. Krishna, too, attended the assembly. Mitravinda's brothers were determined that they would not let their sister get married to Krishna. So they ordered that she must choose any king except Krishna in the Swayamvar. Balram knew of Mitravinda's affection for Krishna and advised him to abduct her. Krishna was not sure of Mitravinda's wishes, so he took his sister Subhadra with him. She talked with Mitravinda and confirmed her love for Krishna. Thus, knowing of her affection for him, Krishna defeated all the other kings in a fight. He took Mitravinda away to Dwarka and married her. Nagnajiti, the king of Kosala. Nagnajit had a lovely daughter named Nagnajiti. King Nagnajit had taken a vow of giving his daughter's hand in marriage to whoever tamed his 7 bulls and put a nose on them successfully. None of the kings who came as suitors could tame the 7 bulls. However, soon Lord Krishna heard about the princess. So he went to the capital of Kosala with a large army. When Krishna arrived, King Nagnajit received him with all honors. Nagnajiti too desired to have Krishna as her husband. When Krishna expressed his intent to marry Nagnajiti, the king mentioned his vow. Lord Krishna expanded himself to 7 forms to fight the 7 bulls simultaneously. He easily tied up nose on the bulls as if it were a child's play. When the other suitors came to fight Krishna, he defeated them too. King Nagnajit was pleased and offered Nagnajiti in marriage to Lord Krishna. Bhadra and Lakshmana. Vasudeva had a sister named Shrutakriti. She had a daughter, Bhadra, who was well known for her beauty and charm. Bhadra was the princess of the Kekaya kingdom. Bhadra's father came to know that she loved Lord Krishna. So he sent a word for Krishna. Krishna agreed and soon married Bhadra. Lakshmana was the daughter of King Madra. He had arranged a swayamvar for Lakshmana, where the archer had to shoot a definite target. Among all the gathered princes, Duryodhan and Jarasandha missed the target. Arjun missed the target intentionally out of respect for Lord Krishna. Krishna hit the target perfectly and married Lakshmana. One day, sage Narada was curious to know how Krishna was faring with all his wives. So he paid a visit to all their houses to verify if Krishna was present there. To his amazement, not only was Krishna present in every queen's house, but also was actively taking part in household affairs. Parijataka tree. During Samudra Manthan, or churning of the ocean, the gods had obtained Parijataka, the celestial tree with divine fragrance. The tree was planted in the garden of Indra, the king of gods. One day, sage Narad went to this garden and collected some Parijataka flowers that had fallen from the celestial tree. He gave them to Rukmani, complimenting her beauty. Rukmani was very happy, but when Satyabhama smelled its fragrance, she was very jealous. She threw a tantrum and asked Krishna to bring her the Parijataka tree. Lord Krishna went to heaven for the celestial tree. When Lord Indra protested, he battled with him. After defeating Indra, Lord Krishna brought the Parijataka tree on earth. However, now Rukmini and Satyabhama began to quarrel, as both of them wanted the tree. Clever Krishna planted the tree in Satyabhama's courtyard in such a way that its flowers fell in Rukmini's house, and in this way, both his wives were happy. Narad, the creator of mischief. Satyabhama was proud and vain of her good looks. She prided herself on her pure love for Krishna, and yet she was jealous of Rukmini, the goddess of wealth, Lakshmi. However, Rukmini let nothing come in the way of her devotion to Krishna and served him with love and devotion. One day, sage Narad, the creator of mischief, came to Dwarka. He met Satyabhama and asked her innocently, "Is it really true that Lord Krishna loves Rukmini more than you?" Satyabhama was shocked. "You are far more beautiful and charming than her. Don't you think you deserve more attention?" asked Narad again. "What should I do to gain his undivided attention? You are my only hope now, divine sage," she pleaded with him. Narad, who was always eager to cause confusion, said, "That is my whole point of visit. I have a great plan to bring Krishna back to you." Satyabhama listened attentively. Satyabhama's vow. Sage Narad advised Satyabhama, "Make a vow that you will hand over Lord Krishna as alms, daan to me, but I will allow you to trade him in for an equivalent weight of your riches. Seeing that you are willing to trade in your wealth for him, Lord Krishna will admire you for your sacrifice and will keep you close to him. But I do not know if your wealth will suffice to balance out Krishna's weight." Proud as ever, Satyabhama said angrily, "I am the daughter of Satrajit. My wealth is limitless. I am sure that I have enough to balance Lord Krishna. We will carry on with this plan of yours." Then she rushed to Krishna and hurriedly told him about her unfortunate vow to Narad. Krishna patiently listened to her and nodded his head. Actually, she felt possessive of Krishna and wanted him all for herself. So he decided to teach her a lesson. Satyabhama gives Krishna away. Satyabhama commanded servants to bring out the large scales used to weigh grains and groceries. She also sent the treasurer to bring out all her jewels and gold to the garden of the palace. Then, gently leading Krishna, she went to the weighing scales. All the ministers stared at the scales. Krishna was quiet all the time. Soon, Lord Krishna, other queens too hurried to the garden. Satyabhama gave away Krishna as alms, daan to Narad. The other wives of Krishna were shocked at this, but being ever dutiful, they did not speak out in front of everyone. Narad then gave her the option of taking back Krishna by presenting him with an equivalent weight of riches. Amidst loud sighs of relief, Satyabhama agreed to it. She placed Krishna on one plate of the scales and started piling up the gold and gemstones on the other plate. Weighing Lord Krishna by scales. Satyabhama kept adding more and more of her wealth on the plate of the scales, but the plate with Krishna did not even budge. Narad kept warning her, "Remember, if you fail to supply me with sufficient wealth, Krishna will forever be a slave to me. I can even bid him out to anyone I want." Satyabhama was thoroughly frightened. Swallowing her pride, she begged the other wives to give her their jewels so that they might retain Krishna. Out of their devotion to their husband, the wives removed every gold ornament on their bodies. However, the scales showed no signs of motion. All the gold in Dwarka was brought and piled up, but to no avail. Then Krishna said slyly, "Look, Satyabhama, because of your foolish vow, I have to be a slave to this sage." Narad was making Krishna to do all sorts of work, cleaning, sweeping and fanning. Satyabhama was desperate to get him back. Satyabhama humbled. In desperation, Satyabhama rushed to Rukmini's private chambers and requested for help. Rukmini plucked a single leaf of tulsi, sacred basil, and went to the weighing scales. Praying to Krishna, Rukmini placed the single tulsi leaf on all the piled up wealth. The plate on which Krishna sat flew up and remained underbalanced. "Try removing your riches, Satyabhama," Krishna said smilingly. Satyabhama removed all her riches until nothing but the single tulsi leaf sat on the plate. Yet it weighed more than Krishna. "You gave all your riches to me, but there was no devotion in that offering. But Rukmini offered me a tulsi leaf with utmost love and devotion," said Krishna, and he left with his wives. Satyabhama was humbled. With tears in her eyes, she said to Narad, "Thank you for teaching me this lesson today. I will never underestimate the power of devotion and love towards Lord Krishna." Narad smiled and left Dwarka, chanting Lord Krishna's name. Krishna and Sudama. Krishna and Sudama were childhood friends. While Lord Krishna ruled Dwarka, Sudama led a life of poverty. One day, his wife could not bear to see the children hungry and said, "Can't you ask Lord Krishna for help?" Sudama agreed but decided that he would not ask Krishna for anything. Then Sudama's wife borrowed some puffed rice from a neighbor and gave it to Sudama as a gift for Krishna. When Sudama came to Dwarka, Krishna was overjoyed. Then he saw his pouch and snatched it from his hand. "Puffed rice, my favorite dish," said Krishna, and he ate a handful of rice greedily. Before he could take a second handful, Rukmini stopped him, saying, "One mouthful will give him all that he needs, my lord." The next morning, Sudama left Dwarka. As he approached his house, he saw a grand mansion. His wife and children came out wearing jewels and fine clothes. He thanked Lord Krishna with tears in his eyes. Lord Krishna's first cousins. Lord Krishna is well known for his epic association with the Pandavas. They were 5 brothers born to King Pandu of Hastinapur, and his 2 queens, Kunti and Madri. Yudhishthir, Bhim and Arjun were Kunti's son. Nakul and Sahadev were Madri's sons. Krishna's father, Vasudev, was Kunti's brother, so the Pandavas were his first cousin. Before her wedding to King Pandu, Kunti had a boon for sage Durvasa that she could chant a mantra and she would be blessed with a son. Out of curiosity, Kunti chanted the mantra, remembering the sun god. He blessed her with a son, Karna. Frightened to have a child before her marriage, Kunti put Karna in a basket and left it in river Ganges. Adhirat, a charioteer, raised Karna. King Pandu's elder brother was Dhritarashtra. He was wise but blind. Gandhari was his loyal wife, who had blindfolded her eyes intentionally. She chose not to see the world which her husband could not see. Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. Dhritarashtra was made the king of Hastinapur when Pandu went into exile with his wives. King Dhritarashtra and Queen Gandhari had 100 sons. Duryodhan was the eldest of them. They were known as the Kauravas. Yudhishthir and his 4 brothers were made the rulers of Indraprastha under the sovereignty of King Dhritarashtra after Pandu's death. Duryodhan was always jealous of his Pandava cousins under the evil influence of his maternal uncle Shakuni. Shakuni was Gandhari's elder brother. He hated the Kauravas, though he pretended to be their well-wisher. Before her marriage to Dhritarashtra, Gandhari's birth chart showed that her first husband would die. So, her father, King Subala, and her 100 brothers got her married to a goat. And then they killed the goat. This was a secret known only to the Gandhara family. A few years later, Dhritarashtra learned this secret and he imprisoned the king Subala and his 100 sons. The Gandhara family. Every day, Dhritarashtra gave only a handful of rice to each of the imprisoned Gandhara family. As the days passed, they started dying of hunger one by one. One day, King Subala said to his sons, "This is not how the Gandhara family is going to end. Every one of us will sacrifice a share of a handful of rice and hand it over to one person. That person will become strong and be responsible for the downfall of Dhritarashtra and the Kauravas." Shakuni was King Subala's youngest and wittiest son. So, the Gandhara family started offering their food to him. When King Subala realized he had no more energy to survive, He called Dhritarashtra and requested, "Please be considerate to Shakuni and allow him to be free. I promise that he will always be like a guardian to your children." Meanwhile, Dhritarashtra had 100 sons and a daughter named Dushala. He agreed to his father-in-law's request. King Subala's last wish. Before dying, King Subala told Shakuni to make use of his thigh bone and create a powerful magic dice which spins the requested number. He wanted the dice to be the reason for the downfall of Dhritarashtra and the Kauravas. Shakuni did as he was told and created a dice that contained the ashes of his father's bones. As promised, he became the guardian of 100 Kaurava sons. He gained their confidence and instilled wicked thoughts into their minds. He became close to Duryodhan and embarked on his evil plan of revenge against the Kauravas. Shakuni provoked Duryodhan. "Yudhishthir loves the dice game, although he doesn't know how to play. Ask him to gamble with me, as there is no gambler who is equal in the 3 worlds. I will put him to shame and win his kingdom for you." Shakuni turned Duryodhan against the Pandavas to initiate a war and bring an end to the Kauravas as per his father's last wish. The gambling game. Duryodhan liked Shakuni's gambling plan and requested his father Dhritarashtra to invite Yudhishthir. However, when Dhritarashtra hesitated, Duryodhan narrated an incident about how the Pandavas' wife Draupadi had once insulted him and called him a blind man's son. Hearing this, Dhritarashtra agreed to invite the Pandavas. Yudhishthir gave his consent and came with Draupadi and his brothers to play the game. Duryodhan had built a vast assembly hall to hold the gambling contest, and he had invited many kings to attend except Lord Krishna. While Draupadi retired to her quarters, Yudhishthir and his brothers went to the assembly hall. After a lot of discussion, Yudhishthir agreed to gamble with Shakuni instead of Duryodhan. Shakuni used his charmed dice and defeated Yudhishthir many times, forcing him to lose his wealth, his kingdom, Indraprastha and his brothers. At last, Yudhishthir put Draupadi at stake and lost her too. Duryodhan then ordered his brother Dushasan to bring Draupadi to the assembly. Krishna and Draupadi. Lord Krishna considered Draupadi his friend and sister. When he had cut his finger while beheading Shishupal, Draupadi immediately tore off a piece of her sari and bandaged his finger. Lord Krishna had said that with this loving act, she wrapped him in debt, and he would repay each thread when the time arrived. Indeed, the time had come when Draupadi needed Lord Krishna's protection. Duryodhan ordered Dushasan to disrobe Draupadi after the Pandavas had lost her to unfair gambling. See that her husbands, the Pandavas, were unable to help her, Draupadi prayed to Lord Krishna to protect her. A miracle happened. As Draupadi prayed for Krishna's help, he came to her rescue and gave her unlimited cloth. Dushasan unwrapped layers and layers of Draupadi's sari. However, as her sari kept getting extended, everyone present in the assembly looked amazed. Dushasan was forced to stop due to exhaustion. This is one of the stories of the origin of the Raksha Bandhan festival. The Pandavas' exile. The assembly of the kings was stunned at the miracle where Dushasan failed to disrobe Draupadi. Bhim declared, "I take an oath that I will tear open the Dushasan's heart and drink his blood. I will break Duryodhan's thighs," as he tauntingly invited Draupadi to sit on it. However, Dhritarashtra was frightened by the divine interference for Draupadi and Bhim's oath. So he apologized to Draupadi and released Draupadi and the Pandavas, but put a condition for them to live in exile. The Pandavas had to go into exile for 12 years. Also, in the 13th year, they had to live in disguise without being identified. If they were identified during the period of disguise, they had to go again for 12 years of exile and the 13th year in disguise. Krishna and Akshaya Patra. The Pandavas were in exile after losing the deceitful act of gambling with the Kauravas. Draupadi prayed to the sun god and he gave her the Akshaya Patra, or the divine bowl, which would give food all day. After Draupadi had eaten, the bowl would not provide any food on the day. One day, Durvasa Muni, who was known for his quick anger, dropped in with thousands of disciples. As Draupadi had eaten her food, she prayed to Lord Krishna, Suddenly, Krishna appeared and asked Draupadi to bring the Akshaya Patra. He found a single grain of rice sticking to the side of the bowl and ate it. "Thank you, Draupadi. My stomach is full now," he said and disappeared. Draupadi was confused. Meanwhile, Durvasa and his disciples arrived after bathing in the nearby river. They were all so full that they did not want to eat anything and thus left peacefully. Draupadi thanked Lord Krishna for his help. Lord Krishna's message for the Kauravas. The Pandavas had spent 12 years of exile living in forests. In the 13th year, they disguised themselves and lived in the kingdom of King Virat. Lord Krishna came to Virat's court when the 13th year was over and the Pandavas revealed their identities. Lord Krishna said, "Now the exile is over. I have to help the Pandavas gain their kingdom back." Balram was partial to Duryodhan because he was Duryodhan's guru. However, Krishna still sent a Brahmin messenger to Duryodhan with a peace message. "Dear friend, give back the kingdom due to the Pandavas." Duryodhan rudely replied, "We owe them nothing. Go back and tell them." Then Dhritarashtra sent Sanjay as a messenger saying, "We shall not be threatened down by a show of your powers, and the war is the only solution." Then another messenger needed to be sent from Yudhishthir's side to the Kauravas. The Pandavas requested Lord Krishna to be the messenger.
Thanks for watching. Do like, share, subscribe to Sahil Book House.